All right, we're back again here at PlebLab for Startup Day, where I am joined by Damian of Bolt 12 Prisms. Excuse me. So, Damian, how you doing today, man?
Doing well, thank you.
All right. So, for those who don't know you or don't know Bolt 12 Prisms, why don't you open it up for us? Who are you, and what is Bolt 12 Prisms?
Yeah, so I'm Damian. I've been developing for about a year. I kind of got inspired to contribute to Bitcoin in some way, and becoming a developer seemed like the way to do that. So I just started teaching myself, and that's kind of the beauty of open source is there's just so many free examples you can just go and refer to and start to figure it out. And so I went to the Bitcoin Plus Plus hackathon in Austin here a couple months ago and joined the hackathon team where we started working on Bolt 12 Prisms, which are essentially a way to split payments. So you can receive a payment in one side of the prism and have it be automatically split out on the other side. And what's novel about it is that it uses Bolt 12 and it runs as a C Lightning plugin. So if you're running a C Lightning node, you can add that plugin to your node and then from there start creating prisms.
All right. So let's back up for somebody who's not a developer. Let's start it from the basics. What is Bolt 12?
So Bolt 11 is the normal way that you pay for things over Lightning. Bolt 11 is the spec that defines like an invoice. So you go to a shop and you want to buy something, and the way, if that shop is running their own node, the way that you would pay for that is the the shop owner would then ask their node for an invoice, and the node would give them an invoice that could be represented as a QR code, and you could pay it. But the problem with Bolt 11 is that you can only use that invoice once. Once you pay using that invoice, then you've exposed a secret that could then be used to steal your funds if you try to use that invoice again.
Okay.
And so Bolt 12 is a way to make payment QR codes reusable. So LNURL does the same thing. You can, like a Lightning address, you can give someone your Lightning address and they can continue to pay to that Lightning address. But the problem with LNURL is that it requires running a web server on top of your node. And if you want to do it in a sort of non-custodial way. And so what Bolt 12 enables is a Lightning native way of reusing sort of payment requests. So instead of going through a web server like LNURL, Bolt 12 gets the invoice directly over the Lightning network. So you can create a Bolt 12 offer, which is just a normal QR code. And anytime that you want to pay to that, you scan the offer, and then essentially it will just go through the Lightning network and say, hey, we want an invoice for this payment. And then you get the invoice. And the invoice is just a Bolt 11 invoice, but you can get as many of those as you want using the Bolt 12.
Okay. So, all right. So that's pretty interesting, and I like that. But my question then from there is like, how do you avoid then maybe double spending for invoices? Like, is there some sort of, yeah, I don't know. So say like me and you go to lunch, right? And we buy the same thing. I pay, you pay, and then I don't know, somebody else is sitting there and they pay by accident, or they decide to pay, or they're, I don't know, something along those lines. So instead we have two meals, we pay for three. How is there like a way to kind of, with this Bolt 12, to kind of like backlog, or not backlog that, but prevent the double spend from potentially happening because that QR code is reusable in a sense?
Well, I should preface this by saying Bolt 12 is currently experimental and
Okay.
non-standard. But I would say, like, do you fear that risk when paying an on-chain payment? Because you can pay as many times to
Yeah, that's true.
on-chain address as you want.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, like, okay, so I don't know. Did you use a lightning door when you came in? Is that like an example of like a Bolt 12 kind of, I guess, use case? So for those who don't know, in PlebLab, they have like a little QR code right on the door. You could scan it in order to get the door open in order to come up. So is that like a good, I guess, use case that you see for potentially for like Bolt 12?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I'm not entirely sure, but I think that they use Zebedee or something, and
Yeah,
there's
I
an
think so.
LNURL attached to the door. And so instead, PlebLab could run their own node and create Bolt 12 offers and attach that to the door, and then
Gotcha.
somehow trigger that event to unlock the door.
Gotcha. So where do you see this kind of okay, so now let's explain the Bolt 12 prisms, right? So you make a singular payment, but then I guess on the other side, the receiver, it's split into multiple or has the potential to be split into multiple. So what do you see like, I guess, some of the use cases for that?
Yeah, so there's a couple. I mean, I think that really it's about automating the flow of your payments.
Yeah.
And so any way that you could imagine that could be useful. But some things that I've thought of for it are, say, podcasting 2.0. Right now, are you using like
Yeah.
value for value splits on this?
Yeah. So like, yeah, mine, I think like, I don't know, I advertised with Fountain so at one point in time. So it's like 95 me and then 5% split with them or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, so you're paying a fee for hosting it on Fountain, and then you're also sort of trusting Fountain
Yeah.
to split out to, I think that the splits are defined in the RSS feed, but you're trusting Fountain whenever someone tips your podcast to split out to
Yeah.
each of the members within. Whereas using Bolt 12 Prisms, you could be running your own node, and for each episode, you could create a prism with an offer that you would publish, and then you can be in complete control of those splits. You wouldn't have to pay a fee, and anytime that offer is paid, it would get split out directly through your node. Some other
Gotcha.
use cases could be like the idea within a company, you could sell your product. The product could be sold with, like, you would pay for the product using a Bolt 12 offer,
Yeah.
and that offer could represent a prism. And so anytime a product gets bought, then that payment is automatically split out. So you could split 80% to like kind of working capital, whatever is needed to buy your
Yeah.
coffee cups and coffee beans and save a little bit, and then split out the other. Like each employee could then have their own offer. So each employee gets paid directly for each coffee.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking too. So then that could like revolutionize like almost like the pay cycle, right?
Yeah.
So instead of like every 2 weeks or bi-monthly, however you get paid now from your like fiat job, it could essentially be like anytime, I don't know, anytime you sell a TV, for example, or anytime you sell something like that, it's automatically split out. Or yeah, you don't really have to then trust your employer in a sense. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I guess the one aspect of trust would be that they're charging them the same amount or charging them enough. But in a sense, it would be like, all right, I don't know, we all work for a construction company, for example, and I don't know, we go do this job and everybody has their split. Once it gets paid out, the split would automatically come to, each one of the workers, opposed to just going to one guy and then them requiring it to divvy it out, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a bit of a accounting problem. Like, how do you make sure that because normally, you just pay your employees once a month after you've paid for all your expenses. So how do you make sure that you save enough to pay for your materials? But I think that as long as you're saving more than you're spending, then
Yeah.
problem solved.
No, exactly. So then, all right. So then, where are you at with Bolt 12 prisms, and like, where do you kind of see this going?
Well, right now, like I said, Bolt 12 is considered experimental.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like right now, C Lightning, you can turn on Bolt 12 with a C Lightning node. So like the way that I've been developing it is on C Lightning, and anyone that's running a C Lightning node can turn it on, and they could start receiving funds from a prism, and they could use my plugin to create prisms. But it's not very mainstream, and most wallets, like I don't know of any wallets that you could pay to a Bolt 12 offer. So at this point, we're just kind of slowly chugging along with the development, and then whether it's 6 months or 3 years, who knows when kind of Bolt 12 will become standardized, and then it can be being implemented into those different products. So yeah, right now I'm just kind of focusing on making it work and adding adding more to it. And I'd love for some other people to help contribute to it.
Well,
Like I said,
Derek's helping you, isn't he? Now
yeah,
is that yeah? Because he was just in here talking about that, so he was like, I want to get out and hear Damien's little pitch there. So, um, which yeah, I mean, I kind of got him out of here so he hear the tail end of it, I think. But so I mean, yeah, so you're looking for more developers. Is that kind of like where you're at right now? Like more developers to kind of help. So you want to get I guess the mission out there, so then you can see if you could get some more like-minded folks who want to come and help build. Is that kind of right?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And if you go to roygbiv.guide/pleblab, then I've got a bunch of links there with my presentation that I gave today and a link to the repository, and everything's open source, and there's some instructions in there on kind of how to help contribute. So if anyone out there wants to write some code for it, I'd love that, because like I said, I've only been doing this for about a year, so I'm sure there's a lot better ways that it could be done.
Yeah. What's your background in? Do you have like a
Uh,
background in like coding? I don't know. You don't have to fully docs everything, but like, do you have like because you said you kind of like just because it's open source, you've kind of just like yeah, taught yourself this stuff. Is this just kind of been like a year mission and then, you've because it's like a project, it's kind of I guess almost like accelerated the growth of, your coding and development skills?
yeah, definitely. If I was to say I had a background in anything, it would be nutrition.
Okay.
I graduated high school in 2020
Okay.
and was just kind of, I don't know, felt a little lost, didn't know what I wanted to do. Felt college felt like kind of a waste of time. And I ended up finding a online program to study holistic nutrition with the goal of becoming like a nutrition consultant. And while I was doing that, I kind of realized it wasn't what I wanted to do, and was working for my dad doing construction. And so I could listen to hours and hours of podcasts. And from there, just kind of had
That's
the realization that, oh, I could learn how to code if I want to.
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. So then, all right, so you want to find more developers. Like, what's next for you for the rest of the year? Are you doing a tab conf? Are you like, well, what's kind of next?
Yeah, I'm not going to TabConf. There's the Thunder.build hackathon happening in Denver in October.
Okay.
And so I'm going to be going to that and speaking on how to just develop plugins in general. And yeah, I don't know, just continuing to work on this. I did receive a grant to work on a different implementation of Prisms using LNURL. And so there's not much that I can say about that at this point, but
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
that should be something exciting to
Yeah.
announce. So that's kind of what I've been focusing my time on as well.
Cool. Well, where can like I don't know, do you have any like places where you're kind of like announcing like what you're working on? Like and obviously you can't tell us a little bit what you're working on like right now, what you got the grant for or whatever, but do you have like a plan of how to kind of I guess get the word out of what you're working on or when it's all finished and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super active on social media, but I plan to announce things or I try to announce things on Twitter.
Yeah.
So my handle's DA_good enough. And there, I think my Noster pub key's on there as well. And that's where
Yeah.
I'd post stuff.
Gotcha. Cool, man. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to following the progress. So, what are you trying to get out the rest of this week? Obviously, we're have startup day here. You had your presentation. Like, is there anything specific that you're looking forward to getting out of here? From whether it's like startup day or BitBlock Boom, Underground Citadel, like a lot of the great events that are going on this week.
Yeah, I'm going to Underground Citadel and I'm definitely excited for that. It seems like I'm excited. The talks sound pretty awesome, but I'm just excited to see who ends up there and get to
Yeah.
meet the people that are there. And I don't know, I've only been going to conferences for the last couple months, and I've just really enjoyed meeting people, getting to interact with Bitcoiners. And so I think
Yeah.
that's kind of my main hope from this is
Yeah, dude.
meet some new friends.
Yeah, you definitely meet a lot of cool people when you come to these conferences, and I like the ones like this where it's BitBlock Boom. It's not as big, but there's a lot of great Bitcoiners that'll be here, and it's a little bit more intimate, so you get time to kind of sit and connect with people, opposed to those the 30 to 50,000 Bitcoin Miami kind of ones where it's like it's good, but it's you kind of like stick to the core people that when you get there, because it's a little bit harder to go interact when there's so many people around. So But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it, and your project sounds awesome. So I want to follow the progress. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it and following along. So thanks so much for coming in and sharing all that with me.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, that's it from Damien. Go ahead and check him out at DA_good enough. And yeah, be sure to be tuned in. We're going to be bringing in the next speakers here once that's all done. Or maybe we're about to go eat lunch. I don't even know. So, all right.